All right. We are live with Mark Delaney here today. Oh my gosh, Mark, it's amazing to see you again. I feel like we've known each other for like 6 months now.
It has been 6 months, at least 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we first met, there was this journey that you were talking about in life for you to make this big transition and publish a book and make a big impact. And it was specific to one audience of dads. And then it's really shifted to an audience of broader focus on people that can they have a book that brings them to a totally new place in their life. Like, what is this story? So back us up to where you begin.
So on April 22nd, 2025, I woke up a cancer survivor who couldn't sleep through the night without having to get up to go to the bathroom, who couldn't fall back to sleep, and just felt weak and pathetic and like a total loser, literally speaking. And then on that day, I decided I kicked cancer's ass instead of being a survivor. And that was April 22nd, 2025. I didn't know what exactly that meant. I just knew I felt better. It always feels better to kick ass than it does to survive. And I apologize for my language. It won't be bad other than just to make that statement. But that started a journey. And I said, what do I want to do next? How do I not, because now at 65, which I am, having really no retirement, having starting all over with my income, how do you build something significant in 7 years when I do want to retire? And you can't do that by just coaching or working because you don't have the time of compounding interest. So I had to take what I call in my book a big swing, and that was to write a book. And the first book title was Eight Steps to Create and Live a Mediocre Life. But I'm a part of a group that said, Mark, people prefer positive titles, not negatives. So we called it The Parent's Guide to Creating Greatness. So I have this beautiful lady whom I love, and we attend a meeting with her brother and sister-in-law. And I showed them the cover of The Parent's Guide to Creating Greatness, and they gave a real, oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. And I'm like, okay, that's not nice. That's politeness. And that's where the title Eliminating Excuses came from, because I realized I needed something that was broader, that explained the solution that I was trying to present to them, and actually applies to a bigger audience. And what I did with the subtitle was I made it what explained who my audience was. Eliminate your excuses first. So if you have excuses, this book is for you. Then model it for those you parent, love, and lead. And so that opens up other markets. So that was my theory of the book.
And the theory of the book is in practice for everyone that doesn't think that it's real or don't know. You actually can go, where can they go to get this?
They can go to eliminatingexcuses.me. It'll take them right to the Amazon page and they can order one or 100 or 1,000, however many people they want to help with it. They can order that many copies. Eliminatingexcuses.me. So, Mark, I want to just say something to you real quick. We met months before that, and we hadn't really connected, but what you said in your introduction was an inspiration to me. It was one of the things that helped me make the decision and helped me want to be better. So I just want you to know that also.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, sometimes we never know the impact that we have on other people in their journey. So we don't know the steps they've taken and the things that have maybe been a wall that they hit or some encouragement that they needed to hear that goes, wait, if that was you too, I can do that. I can see the thing in me that I need that I didn't know was there. But yeah, what was that difference?
Well, I remember you talking about the struggles of your family, and I'm not going to go into details. Let you do that if you want to do that. And I remember thinking, you know, some battles you have control over with a decision, which was what mine was. Yours requires somebody else's buy in. Sometimes it requires legal. Sometimes it requires stuff that's beyond our control, and we just have to hope it all works out. I was so blessed that I have the control over what I decided to do next. And I've already explained what I did next.
Yeah, for me, it was pushing an exit plan button for everything that I knew that was safe, that felt like, all right, at least I've got this. And I actually had to leave everything that I thought was safe and known and the right thing, only to figure out that none of it was quite right. And that's a crazy thing to have happen. And some people call it like a midlife crisis or an awakening or a new sort of faith and a different plan. I love how you're talking about you kicked cancer's butt and then you're like, now what? What does that next journey look like? If it's a 7 year journey, how does it compound and do this exponential improvement rather than I'll just keep doing the same thing and add a little bit more energy to it, a little bit more work, and somehow it'll happen.
So one day, so we created the book, Eliminating Excuses, and I realized that I get $3 a book I sell, and I get it up to 90 days later, which is still better than having to print 2,000 copies and hope. So I'm not complaining. I'm just stating it. I also realized that unless you're famous, you cannot get wealthy selling a book because you don't have the audience. And by the time you get the audience, you're broke. So inside my book, I put an offer. So when someone does read the book, they can engage with me further, that's not unique. But then I went back and edited the book after publishing it, and your book might not have it because you were one of the first to buy my book. I create an offer to help them execute what's in the book. And so anyone who bought it, that second version, reads through part one, the part that inspired you so much to do some things that you told me you did. And it says, let me help you. Are you buying this book to read or are you buying it to change? Let me help you change. And so I created an 8 week virtual course that where I talk people through books and what through my book and what they should actually do to execute and implement what they learn, not just think that's great. Because Mark, I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but I've read entire books swearing I'm going to come back and go through it again and do what it says. And I don't think I ever did it. And so I didn't want my readers to be like me in that case.
Well, that's an amazing thing that you talk about, even just reading through a book, getting out of chapter one into two and three and feeling like you can write something down and go, not only is that a great idea, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen regardless of how I feel about it. I'm going to jump in and figure it out and use the book as a springboard. And I find it fascinating that you have a program as well for people to go, okay, I get the idea, and now I'm hooked. But then what? Um, a good book that I like is Dan Sullivan's 10x is easier than 2x. And sometimes you get these ideas from it, and you're like, that's fascinating. And you're talking about a chance for people to work with you to actually make this path work rather than it's no longer an idea.
Correct.
Why
And
did you
I,
do that and just think maybe the book would be enough?
well, because the journey I was on, again, books, you get $3 to $4 a book that you sell, and it takes 90 days before the comes. And there are only so many people you can reach with your time and even especially with my budget. So I knew I needed to make the value of each book sold more than $3 to $4. And that's what the impetus was to do both those offers. I did it because if only 1 in 10 buy the program and complete it, now each book I sell is worth $40
What is
each.
the real impact of this so far for people that have gone through it or simply for you to live it?
Which part? Which part? Impact of which part? The cancer journey, the going from survivor to kicking cancer's, you know what, or the book
Yeah.
process?
What's been the impact of this experience for you so far?
So I want to talk. So here's a different experience I want to share with people. I'm 65, and Mark, I don't know how old you are. You look you're about 27, but when I was your age, whatever it is, I never thought I'd be in this situation when I was 65. I always thought, I'm going to do it right. Things are going to work themselves out. And I think we all kind of say that. I think this marriage is going to work out. I think my health is going to work out. I think my wealth is going to work out. And nothing ever works out. We have to make it work. So that's the biggest takeaway from my whole life. So that's why I say I'm 65, going on 23, because I'm starting life all over again, because my first time through didn't go as planned.
Wow. That's almost like a great parallel and a connection to meeting someone for the first time and thinking, oh, I can help them. And you go through this like sales call process of this is who I am, this is what I do, here's all the things that we can have happen. And then it creates this kind of block over the microphone. And the other person feels like they don't get a chance to speak. And the more you talk, you're creating this wall or this wave that they just go, I wonder if I can just ride on this wave out of this room and come up with the, hey, I'm going to think about it. That sounds amazing. There is a cognitive load that we all have when we meet another person. And when that cognitive load gets hit, it's like there's a shutdown.
That's deep, and that's like your expertise that you bring to your clients, I'm sure. I never thought of it that way, but it just makes perfect sense as I heard you say it.
Yeah, there's this really cool comedian that came up with this thing called the special box. And that box was kind of like when the Academy Awards are happening and someone comes up and says, hey, everybody, I'm so thankful to my mom, my dad, my brother, and my cat, and my goldfish. And they try to thank the whole world. After 42 seconds of being on stage, the orchestra tries to play the cue that says leave the
Hmm.
stage. And I saw this where someone created a wrap it up box where when you hit the button, it counts out 42 seconds. And after the 42 seconds, it creates this please leave the stage moment.
Mm.
And that's what the buyer wants is give me the microphone. Let me talk about who I am. Give me one of these. Because that's why I came. I came to talk, not listen.
I try to do that in my presentations to figure out what we call a personal championship, and then what is their path to it, and what's stopping them from getting there. And I let them do most of the talking because I don't know what their problem is, but they do. My job is to pull it out of them.
And in a way that they feel like you're asking amazing questions. No one else has thought to get to that level in that place and even cared to get there. Because there's a difference between where they are and where you are, and it's joining them. Because if they're like, my Everest is there, and you think they're further along, and you go to give them a step, they might go, that's like jumping off a cliff, or just taking too big of a step that they feel like they'll fall. And it's finding that yes, that they will go, okay, that's the furthest that I'm willing to go today. It's almost like their confidence break. I won't be confident if I go further than that. Even if you are going to hold my hand and it's like a trust fall, how much do they feel like falling into your arms versus falling into their own space and just going, I'll take it, I'll just do it on my own?
There's a like a mental. All of a sudden, sometimes you can see it when they in their eyes, right? All of a sudden, you see, yes, I need that. And I think it's always better when someone needs you than when you need them, especially in a sales situation.
Yeah, sometimes people call that like sales breath. They're like, whoa, you sound needy and you feel a little fiery. And that can cause the buyer to go, I'm going to back away because you're trying to take something from me. And it's like an imbalanced equation. And when the equation feels imbalanced, how does it feel to you when someone's really needy?
So I had a joke in my mind, but it's not. This is not the right podcast for that joke. But it it doesn't feel good. But more importantly than that, nobody ever makes their best decisions out of need. So when they come to the sales call, trying to market something, trying to sell something out of their need, they're probably not going to have good success just because need. Nobody wants to buy your need. Nobody wants to buy our need. They want us to fulfill their need. And when you sound needy, you obviously are thinking more about you than you are about them. Hey, you froze up on me, Mark. I don't know if it's my internet or yours.
And you're in a game and you're just really far behind,
Hey,
are you
Mark,
really going to trust?
can I say, like, you froze on me for a second. This is going to have to be edited out. I hope that's okay. You have to, whatever you started saying, I only came in the middle and I said a whole sentence to you that you froze. So start that question again.
Yeah. So the question is, or the statement is, when you feel behind in a game and you've invested all this and you're like, I keep getting worse and worse, how do you feel about taking even a bigger step at that point?
I don't have an exact specific answer. I think it's more important to figure out why am I getting worse? What is it about me that's making me worse instead of better? Because theoretically speaking, we should be getting better. So, what is making me worse? I think is the best question to ask yourself at that moment. Why am I getting worse? Am I getting more needy? Am I trying to do my own thing? I have this process. Am I reinventing it on the fly because of what someone said? I think that's the most important thing that someone can figure out is why am I getting worse? And the second thing would be I have to shift my focus from what I want to what I can give this person. Because if you're focused on you in a sales call, and anything, no matter what it is, if you're focused on you but you need other people's buy-in, you're missing the mark. Whether it's Mark Gambrell or Mark Delaney, they're still missing the mark. And one of us can probably help them do better at that in the future.
There's a moment when you see and feel everyone in the room and you're like, wow, this is a significant space and an opportunity. Not an opportunity to close, but an opportunity to just serve and say, wow, I believe in you and I want to see you have this success rather than I need the success of you as a client. And it's really, really interesting to actually measure how much you think you can impact their life based upon their own ability to do the work. How have you been able to figure out how serious somebody is or capable about doing the work ahead of time?
I don't do that. I just have created an accountability method that gets them to do it. Because once I put my reason or their capability on it, then I am limiting them, I feel, or I'm building them up beyond where they are. So we create a plan for what they want, the goal, and then I have an accountability method that has worked literally every time I've done it. And we agree on that accountability. And usually speaking, I get people to do more in the next week than they did the previous months because of we have a plan, we agree on it. A part of it has to be that they're paying me for this because that means they really want it also. And then we do the accountability and it works miraculously every time. And I know a lot of people say it works every time, but literally speaking, that process has gotten every client that I've worked with to do the things that they say they're going to do. So whether it's exercise, whether it's being more loving to their family, or whether it's marketing, I've gotten people to do things they didn't think they could do. I even got someone to start a podcast that they put off for a whole year.
Wow. So, how is it that you're able to get people to move to an accountability space and make progress when a few weeks before they would still say, I want that goal? Like, what's the change?
I think there's three criteria that I preach heavily that if you meet these three criteria, you can do it. Number one is you really have to want it. And everybody wants more money, more love, a better body. That's not what I'm talking about. You have to really want it. I mean, you have to have it in your heart that I need to sometimes, or I just know I'm committed to making more money. I'm committed to a better body. I'm committed to more loving relationships. They have to bring that to me, and they won't pay me if they don't have that. Number one. Number two, they have to be physically capable. So that means I'm not trying to get them to run marathons if it's their body. I just want them to go for a walk. I just need them to make three phone calls or three contacts, not 100 a day, three a day, not 25 a day, which is overwhelming to someone who's not even doing one a day. And then the third thing is they have to live in a free country, which almost everyone I know does. But with those three criteria, especially with number one, they have to want it. I can get pretty much anybody to do anything they're willing to pay for. And the real way I judge, are they willing to pay for it? If someone's not willing to pay for something, they don't really want it if the price is reasonable. So those three things, you give me those three things, I'll give you any behavior you want to form.
And that's the magic piece, is they truly want it and they see it's worthwhile to pursue it rather than to stay where they are.
Correct. Correct. That's how it's been working. And I get a lot of people who tell me no, they don't want to pay me and they don't want that thing. But money changes things. And those of you who think that giving away a lot of your free services is the best path, it's a path to an introduction. It's not a path to the results that you want to get. And in my opinion, at some point, you got to charge people. And one of the things I'm learning is sometimes you got to charge more to really get a commitment from somebody. And just because you're less expensive doesn't make you more successful or more effective.
And each person does their own math as well, because we don't know the history of what they've invested already in something. I've hired some other coaches. I hired some other agencies. I learn from these other people, and they're bringing their own emotional weight and their math equation to it that says, all right, if I do this for a year and I spend this amount, even if I will get half the results, it's still better than where I'm at now. And in their head, they're going, I would be a fool if I didn't take a step rather than stayed where I am. And I never know what that math is until they verbally say, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this.
I'll tell the story because when you're writing, so for example, in the beginning is different than when you're mature. So I'll just say this because I think it's fair. When I first started, I supported myself by selling a $44 program. And it kept me not needing to drive Uber to survive while I wrote the book. It was major for me. That $40 per person was major to me. I think the number was $42. And that allowed me to publish the book without having to do something part-time. That was a big deal. So I'm not saying that on day one you start charging thousands. I am saying that at some point you got to get beyond the startup charges and charge people what you're really worth. And that's the key point. So I just want to say we start out at low prices, and then we have to work our way up and try to create a career income.
It's a basis of your value that you're talking about. And that value is really significant because if you're not charging for it, then it doesn't feel like it's worth anything. And I remember being a product manager at a medical device company, and I wanted to be in this new market segment, which was getting rid of, you talked about cancer, it's getting rid of cancer that the pulmonologists and GI doctors didn't know was there. It's like a little piece left behind, like a little cell that could continue to grow and come back. And I remember there was another company that was a really great leader in something similar to it. And our VP of sales went out and signed a contract to distribute that very product. He's like, look, I signed this while you were away, Mark. I know you were researching other things, but we're going to go with this one. I took a look at the contract and the revenue and I said, we're not doing this. Tear it up. There's a better way, a better system that'll help these doctors get rid of this cancer that they don't even know is there because it's a totally different new therapy. And they looked at me and they said, how do you know? I said, watch this video from this other doctor that had a failed cancer removal video. And I said, look what happened here. He was using that very solution and it wasn't working. And he pulled it out and he kicked it against the wall emotionally. I don't want that one. I'll take yours. I said, all right, well, mine isn't ready for the US. It's a product from Germany. It's all approved in the EU. And he said, that's perfect. I'm the doctor. It's good enough for me. He used it and he looked at me and he's like, oh my God, this is what I think it should be. That's what it's worth to me. And that's what you're talking about is people to go, oh my God, that's my wow. I want and need that. And when we went to market with it, the doctors and nurses were like, that's the wow that we want. We'll have 5 or 6 of those. Everyone deserves it. Each surgical suite got one of these Beamer systems. And they looked at it, they're like, this is what we want. It does the value.
What I hope is that everyone wants to be what something called self-command. That is my promise that I deliver to my clients who engage me. And so I hope this is the first place I've announced it on your show. It took a year and 2 months, almost a year and 2 months, to really finalize where I'm headed. And I tell you that not because of me, but the mistake that most people make is when they get started, they fail. My first book title failed. So many things will fail the first time you try it. That's not a signal of your capability. It's a signal that you need to try something different. And then I came up with the second title. And now the third title is 10 times better than the first one. But what if I had quit after the first title didn't feel good? I'm not cut out. The key component is, I think that if you're a person starting out on a journey and you want to pursue personal development, write a book. Don't buy a website. Don't pay $5,000 for a website or someone to build one for you. Write a book, because a book tells people what you do and how you do it and why you're an expert. I went with that path instead of end the book with Amazon and with so many ways in AI. You literally, that book cost me $20 to create. And I don't care who you are, you got $20. You got a life experience. You have a story. I used the book as my kickoff. And while I was writing the book, I did take case studies. Hey, I have a theory. I want to prove it to you. I made it really low cost. People bought it from me, helped me to survive. I want people to understand excuses are nothing but your internal BS. I wrote about it in my book. The whole book is about it, but mostly I want to say it to you plainly. If you're physically capable, you have the desire, you live in a free country, you can be a totally different person 1 year from today if you're willing to do it. That's the summary of my whole book and my whole practice of how I help people.
I love it, Mark. Thank you for sharing with everyone today this vision and purpose that you've realized in your life. So for anyone that has heard this story today who feels inspired, go check out Mark Delaney and his book. And I've got a copy. It's already transformed my life. And I look forward to hearing stories from everyone today about you getting the book and then what happens in your world. Thank you,
Hey,
Mark, for being with us.
you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.